It's March Madness here at Optimal Play, which means absolutely nothing as far as this Arkham Horror card review is going to be concerned, but we did have to plan it around Steven's love of basketball. I'm Brandon.
I'm Steven.
Steven, how's the tournament going?
Disaster.
No.
My hometown school was like a number one seed. I was all excited about it. This is Illinois, and they became the first number one seed to get knocked out. So, just a
sorry to hear that.
Total disaster. But I do think, we actually could, if we wanted to plan this better, do like an Arkham horror like bracket, have people vote on like favorite cards or
aren't the Mythos Busters doing that with investigators? I think they've turned it into a multi-step process where if you poke it on their Discord, everyone's posting tier lists where they're using that tier list maker to make like 10 tiers of investigators, which I guess is going to result in the seeding of the tournament.
Do you remember the Simpsons Did It episode of South Park? Like idea that there's an episode of South Park where like every idea that they have for like a sitcom episode, like the Simpsons have already done.
Okay.
So I think Mythos Busters are a bit like that with Arkham horror content.
Yeah, I guess that's true. At this point, they've been going on since I want to say they started that podcast between the game's announcement and actually releasing, right? I can't imagine starting a podcast about a game that is not even out yet, but they're the top podcast for a reason, I guess. They had that dedication. I don't really watch. I went to UCLA and used to be a college basketball fan, but the further I've gotten out of it, the less I have followed stuff like March Madness. But I definitely know that like every single company and podcast and community are doing their like voting on Twitter and stuff for all their bracket parodies. So I always know when it's March Madness.
Yeah, Illinois got lost to like a small school from Illinois, so it's sort of like if UCLA was knocked out by like Cal State Northridge or something like that.
Oh, fun.
It was pretty embarrassing.
Tell Oscar hi for me. I hear him.
Yeah.
All right. Well, yeah. So the Lair of Dagon is out to the extent that anything comes out from Fantasy Flight lately. I was able to get my hands on a pack. Steven was not. So
yeah, my store said they got like half their usual shipment.
Oh, fun. Okay. Yeah, my local store didn't complain this time after the middle packs of the cycle, like Horror and High Gear. I think they still have never gotten. But this one came in. It feels like such a crapshoot now. But so we went with the ingenious solution of I have, while reading the cards as minimally as possible, sent photos of them from my phone to Steven's phone so that he can follow along, and the show's gonna go on. But first, what was the last pack? We sat down and recorded two at once last time. It was Horror in High Gear and A Light in the Fog. Yeah. Did you get a chance to play with any of the cards from the last time?
Yeah, so Light in the Fog, I have played with the upgraded Armageddon that both provides a will boost and has the possibility to like actually generate more charges than it takes as long as you like get multiple curses. And that one is pretty cool. I mean, certainly the will boost alone is worth 3 XP. We sort of see that with like Triveling, that you pay, about 3 XP for that 2 will boost. And then what's cool is that you can sort of try your best if you have tools to keep it going forever. So for example, like if you're starting to get low on your Armageddon charges, but you're like Jacqueline or something, you can use, or you have Olive, you can use those methods to try to increase your chance to get a curse and maybe get 2. And then ideally sort of keep it going forever.
Were you able to?
Yeah, I mean, maybe not forever, but I definitely had some that lasted pretty long, and it felt like I got a lot of value out of them.
Nice. All right. Yeah, I'm eager to try those some more. I don't have any. It's tricky when it comes to like, okay, we try out some of these cards so we can talk about them the next time we sit down to review the next pack. But when they're all high level cards, it's not so easy to just be like, oh yeah, we're just gonna run all those cards in all our decks. You kind of have to have in progress campaigns that happen to line up with them. And so I haven't gotten too many of them to the table yet, but in our blind play, our in this case being Kyle and me streaming on Twitch, twitch.tv/optimalplay. Follow us there. We stream Arkham and other games. Anyway, Kyle's playing Mateo and played the new level 2 Guardian Holy Rosary, which is blessed so Mateo can play it. I think it kind of backed up my like lukewarm impression of that card. Like it's nice. What it has really driven home or really contributed to is Kyle's playing a really bless focused Mateo, and I even have in my Nate deck even have a few Guardian cards that can bless the bag, and so we're just hitting that blessing cap too much. And the fact that you can't control when this Holy Rosary actually adds blesses to the bag so often, it's like, oh well, we already had 9 or 10 in there when this granted us 2. Why these 2 XP are doing nothing for us? That's the only difference in the card, right? Mm-hmm. So yeah, there's definitely such thing as like too much blessing, even if you're not Sister Mary. it's an issue. So I think that it's going to be it's going to become clear, especially as the suite of Curse and Bless cards come out, that it's not quite just throw as many as possible into a deck. It's a little subtler than that. It's picking the specific ones that aren't wasting your resources and cards on overkill, but get the job done.
You might need to even have a couple characters take Tempt Fate out of their deck, Brendan. I know that's tough for you.
It is tough for me.
You have to do it.
Tempt Fate is the best card that's come out this cycle, so I don't know. I think you'd cut other things first. Get rid of what is it? Keep Faith. What's the survivor event that puts 4 in? Like, cut that over Tempt Fate. Anyway, so Lair of Dagon's the 5th pack of the cycle, right? So we're getting up there. We're gonna probably see some high level stuff. Some kind of punchlines I think should be coming into the Curse and Bless deck archetypes, where we're getting the biggest, splashiest effects for them.
Well, either the biggest splashy effects or ways to make them more consistent. So, like, imagine a card that's like fast when you would draw a token, like draw 5 and select any blessings or curses or something like that.
Yeah. I'm curious if we'll see more like that, because that has been the biggest downfall of things like Blessing of Isis and even Ward of Radiance, which you draw a lot of tokens out of the bag and just have to draw 1 bless to cancel a treachery. And I've seen that whiff a lot, even when they were like, oh, there were 9 blesses in the bag. The odds say we should have done it. It's not as reliable a card as you want it to be, even if you're building your deck around it. So yeah, I'm curious whether we'll get something that helps with that. I don't know what, like, I feel like every class except Mystic kind of quote unquote needs it. So will there be a neutral card, or else I don't know, maybe Mystic will just continue to be the class that can do that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's find out together. Want to give us the first card?
Sure. So we'll start with Guardians. We've got Enchant Weapon, a 3-cost, 3 XP spell and upgrade. Attached to a weapon asset you can controlled by an investigator at your location. Limit 1 per asset. Attached asset gains the relic trait and takes up an arcane slot in addition to its other slots. When you perform a fight reaction, when you perform a fight using the attached asset, exhaust this card, add the owner of this card's will to their fight for this attack, and the attack deals +1 damage.
Okay, that was a lot of text. I think the most important part is the bottom, right? That's the actual reason you play the card. So it exhausts. So essentially, once per round, it adds willpower to combat for an attack, and the attack deals +1 damage. Having been playing a lot of Sister Mary and with Sister Mary to mixed success, this feels like a great Sister Mary card, right? She has decent willpower. This kind of enables her to fight with most any Guardian weapon once per turn.
Yeah, it's very similar in a lot of ways to Custom Ammunition, which is also Guardian. I think 3-cost, 3 XP, way to do extra damage as well.
Is it that much XP? It's that high a level? Maybe.
I think so. It's either 2 or 3. So a lot of similarities. They both have a limit on the amount of extra damage. In this case, it's once per turn. In that case, it's only on monsters, which I feel like is maybe half of enemies about.
Yeah, maybe a little more than half. Definitely the tougher ones.
Mm-hmm. Also another important difference is custom ammo can only be played on guns, but it does give you some extra bullets on your guns. Whereas this has the flexibility that it can be played on a non-gun, but does not. If you do play it on a gun, it does not provide any extra ammunition. So there's it seems like a lot of pros and cons on both sides.
Yeah, for sure. It takes up an arcane slot too, which does mean you don't just throw it into any Sister Mary deck where she's likely using her arcane slots already. Between like Rite of Sanctification, like there are several Guardian cards this cycle that use the arcane slot. Plus, she tends to run a decent amount of Mystic cards. Mm-hmm. You got to be thoughtful about this.
I think one thing you could do is, first of all, there's Zoe has high will and doesn't care about arcane slots, so like she's a great fit. Also with Sister Mary, when you get to like scenario 6, 7, 8, it might be time to start taking out your shrivelings because they're you can't upgrade to the high will versions, and so they're probably not able to hit the enemies in the later stage of the campaign. And so you might be going to lightning guns and, big guardian weapons that are actually easier to hit with. I do adore the idea of like enchanting my flamethrower
to do even more damage.
I think flamethrower, lightning gun, or you take a melee weapon like that neutral sword thing that it's just like permanent plus damage.
The
neutral sword, the 5 XP neutral sword.
Time Worn Brand. Yeah. Is that a sword? I always think it looks more like a paddle.
Like something like that you could potentially over the course of an entire scenario do like 12 extra damage with this.
Right. And I was kind of joking or laughing at the concept of putting this on a flamethrower, but what's interesting, you don't have very many ways to give weapons plus damage, and when you do, like you pointed out, there are a couple others. When you do, it interacts with any other like special abilities to their damage, right? Like giving a flamethrower plus 1 damage actually gives you an extra damage that you can distribute among all the enemies, right?
Yeah, and I think certain Voltron builds would maybe play both this and custom ammo.
What's a Voltron build?
Like when you're trying to like get one huge gun, like you're playing a bunch of ammo boosting cards and damage boosting and skill boosting. So like I've seen, for example, Tommy decks that are trying to keep Becky going forever. I'm just going to keep putting out leather coats and killing them and putting them on Becky.
Right.
Something like that. Like maybe you play both custom ammo and this. And you have your Becky doing like 4 damage.
Right. Yeah. It seems pretty good to me. I'm excited to try this. And then I feel like Guardians have gotten a lot of allies lately. This is Nephthus, the Huntress of Bast. Sure, okay. She is a 3-cost level 4 Guardian asset. She's an ally and is blessed. You get +1 willpower. As a reaction, when one or more blessed tokens would be removed from the Chaos Bag during a skill test, seal them on Nephthus. Yeah, I think I'm saying that right. Seal them on Nephthus instead. And then you can, as a fast ability, exhaust Nephthus, either release 3 blessed tokens sealed on her, or return 3 blessed tokens sealed on her to the token pool to deal 2 damage to an enemy at your location. Wow. Wait. Every 3 blesses that would be removed by any player in skill tests lets her do a fast 2 damage?
Yeah, I guess. That seems crazy good.
This is wild. This is so good.
The first ability... At first I thought that the release 3 was like release them in, or like to put them into your skill test, but when I realized it's just putting them back in the bag, that's not very exciting. But like, yeah, just
sure. I mean, it isn't. Like taking those 3 blesses, generating 2 Tesla's damage, and putting them back in the bag at the end. Like that's all a pretty amazing.
Well, no. You don't. It's either or. You don't do both. So you either do the 2 damage or you put them back.
Oh, I see. Either put them back in or return them to the token pool and do the 2 damage. It's not. Yeah. It's not 2 damage plus a choice to release or return them. Okay, I see. So it's a little less ridiculous than I thought. Still seems very strong.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would always take the damage. It's not that hard to generate plus tokens, as we were just saying.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and there's essentially, when you have Nephthus, Tempt Fate is now 2 Teslas damage. You're welcome. Card keeps getting better.
The 2 damage is only once per turn, but the other one is unlimited. Like,
yeah,
I mean, if you're playing 3 or 4 player, I think it's basically guaranteed like 2 damage a turn. Like,
as long as enough blesses are getting put into the bag along the way, yeah.
Yeah, but like I think the only downside is in smaller groups, maybe you're just not taking enough tests to reveal 3 blessed tokens.
Yeah,
but yeah, this is amazing in large groups.
Damn. And she's blessed. I don't know if we've seen a blessed person yet. It's a little bit of a weird a trait to put on, a living human being, but I guess she is blessed. That means Mateo can play this.
Yeah. Does he have any limit on his blessed level or
blessed cards? I don't know off the top of my head. I guess it is possible that it's a cap of level 3. I hope he can play her though, because Mateo has gotten pretty fun with the cards this cycle, and I would love to see this fit into that. Plus, the plus willpower makes it seem like he'd be a prime candidate for this card, along with Sister Mary, who, again, is the guardian of this cycle, so I think a lot of these cards are for her.
Yep, she would certainly love it.
The one other thought on this is I pointed this out before, but this is yet another seemingly like Egyptian kind of like god or goddess themed card. I'm really starting to think that these are foreshadowing maybe the next cycle or something. I know Voice of Ra, I think, was in the Jacqueline starter deck, so that's a weird place to foreshadow another cycle. I could be way off, but sometimes at the end of a cycle, you start to see foreshadowing for the next one, both in mechanics and in flavor. And I'm starting to think that we're seeing that here. I would wager. I'll wager the funny money, the channel points in our Twitch channel for that we're going to Egypt in the next cycle.
Nice. We can move on to the Seeker cards. Tend to be the opposite, probably like Love Curses. And we're starting with the Stygian Eye, a 10 cost, 3 XP, 3 will, insight and cursed event, not a spell card though. Fast, play only during your turn. Reduce the cost to play Stygian Eye by 1 for each cursed token in the chaos bag. So that's cool. That doesn't, you don't have to randomly draw it. You just get the benefit if it's in the bag. And until the end of the round, you get +3 to each of your skills.
Okay. Fast, play only during your turn. All right, so it's not going to ever help you in a Mythos phase. But otherwise, being able to get +3 to all of your whatever, triple fight, triple investigate seems good. How often do you want there to be 7, 8, 9, 10 curses in the chaos bag to enable this?
I always want 10 curses in the bag. Those are the most fun decks.
They are, yeah.
I think this could be really strong in Amanda. She's one of the few Seekers that does tend to use all of her stats. Not always on the same turn, but like she has the possibility of being good at anything because of like the fact that she has even stats and she plays a lot of skills and stuff. So I could instantly see this being valuable in her. You can potentially like evade someone first action, investigate second action, attack third action, like something weird like that. Or even if you're just playing it for +3 to 1 stat, that's always good too. Yeah,
the one slight against this for Amanda, in my eyes, is the triple willpower icons. Like, I think willpower is her least used skill, just because she's not probably running a bunch of spells, and so she's like not terribly like. Any card is much better for Amanda if instead of playing it, she has the option to have it be her tucked card for the round. And this is like not a good option for that purpose.
Unless you're playing Circle Undone, and then she can tuck it under her and just take care of everyone's witch treacheries.
Good point. Yeah, solid in Circle Undone. I really this is the second. So there was shoot, I'm blanking on the name of the hand size. The one where you get a couple clues and it costs like 12 minus your hand size.
Oh yeah.
But anyway, I'm really enjoying this new kind of, now we're seeing it as a recurring secret mechanic. The unbearably expensive cards that get cheaper depending on the board state. I think that's just super fun, and it's fun to see the cards that like, this costs 10.
I think it's extensive research is what you're thinking of.
That sounds right. Yeah, there's a couple versions of it. It's not one of those mechanics where like there's any synergy between this and that. It's just a similar type of card design, and I'm a fan. I like it. Damn it. All right. Next is hyper awareness. This is my greatest fear. I think I said it on another video that in this what I think is going to end up being my favorite cycle player card wise, that they seem to be throwing in some rando upgrades to core set talents. Like, why are you taking up space in my Innsmouth block with this? But anyway, level 4 hyper awareness costs 2 resources and is a talent. It uses 2 resources that replenish at the start of each round, and you can spend 1 resource from your resource pool or from hyper awareness. You get +1 intellect or +1 agility for this skill test. So this is symmetrical with the couple that we saw in some of the investigator starter decks, right?
Mm-hmm.
Have you played with any of these?
Yeah, I mean I think the Guardian one gives maybe fight or will, so that's good for like Sister Mary and but I don't, and maybe that would be good in Carolyn. There's not really a character that's like frequently using like intellect or agility,
right?
So that's not as exciting.
Yeah, I mean like Ursula, I guess, or Finn can't play this. And when I think intellect and agility, it's not a wide swath of investigators.
I guess you can play Ursula with the ornate bow, and that deck probably wants this.
Yeah, good point. So like I think that these talents are fine. They borrow this replenishing resource mechanic. It's recurring credits in Netrunner, but since Arkham also borrows like the action system and things from Netrunner, it makes sense that this would make its way into the game. I think these are fine cards. I'm just really pissed that this is taking up Innsmouth real estate.
Yeah.
All right, give us the rogue card. Let's get out of that one.
All right. So the next one is Geese, but not. It's a geese and it's a bird, but it's not spelled like geese.
Yeah, is that like Gaius? I don't know if this is a real word. If it is, I don't know how to pronounce it.
But it's a 2-cost, 2 XP asset. It's a pact. That sounds ominous. It's exceptional.
Oh, so it's it's a level 2 4 XP.
Is this
card.
The first non-weakness pact? I feel like they're normally weaknesses.
I can't.
I could be wrong.
I can't say that confidently. I feel like there must be like mystic cards that put Doom on them. Could have the pact trait or something. Yeah, I don't know.
And then it says you get +1 to all your stats.
Wow. Okay. Then, just stop there. Just stop there. I'm sure this is great.
Exactly. And then forced, after it enters play, make a promise using the following formula. I shall not draw, play, or commit any cards during each of my turns. If you break the promise while it's in play, discard it and add 10 curse tokens to the chaos bag.
This is amazing. You literally make a pact. You make an agreement in exchange for this power that you can break.
And in fact, like, you probably want to break this at some point. Like, if you are Dexter and you're down to only 2 curses in the bag and you need a bunch of ammo to kill the boss, you probably want to break this. So actually deciding when to break it, like, obviously you want to get the stat boost for a while, but then it's also this cool break in case of emergency way to get 10 curses at the end of the game.
That's interesting. I didn't think of it as a way to get the curses. I was thinking the opposite. Like, eventually the circumstances of the game, you know, your hand is empty and you need to draw cards or something, would lead to needing to break this pact. And so you would want to do it when the curses are already very high so that the impact is minimal. Because if there's already 8 curses in the bag, the best this can do is add 2 of them. Interesting. Oh man, this is hilarious. I love this card.
It's really cool. It honestly might be a little overpowered, I wonder. But it's super cool.
Draw seems like by far the most likely pact you're going to make, that you're not going to draw cards during your turns.
I was thinking commit, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I feel like rogues are like the bonkers skill card class, to where I mean you'd have to build around that, I guess. Like if you're putting this card in your deck, you're not going to play nimble and quick thinking and those other real strong skills. Probably.
I've found like there's been a number of characters where I've gotten like tarot or self-centered, and like you kind of just learn to like build your deck around not committing cards. And so
yeah, I
feel like you pick commit, and then when you want to break it, you purposely throw in like an extra card, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, I'll throw in my second copy of Rite of Seeking, you know, in order to break this.
I love that this is not unique, so you can build a team where everyone makes a promise. Just, if you're looking for like a thematic approach for your next multiplayer campaign.
True, and if you broke all of them in a row, like you would only have 10 cards in the bag. You wouldn't have 30. So
right, yeah, that's true. Yeah. Man, so cool. I just love when the mechanics of a card ooze theme like this, and Arkham is so good at doing that. This totally nails it for me. I'm in love with this card. Totally. That's amazing. Unfortunately, it's time to come down from that high, because next is Hard Knocks, level 4. This, at a glance, looks symmetrical to the Hyper Awareness we just looked at. It's a level 4 rogue asset with 2 replenishing credits that you can spend, or recessed credits, the Netrunner is in my head. Replenishing resources that you can spend from this card or from your resource pool to get combat or agility for the skill test. I think this is a better card because these are more appealing skills, but still, I hate that this is in this pack.
Yeah, it's like a decent card. There's a number of rogues that want both those things. But.
Yeah. Okay. Next.
All right, let's go back to the fun cards. So Mystics, we have another. You give me all the hard to pronounce ones. Ikiak?
Ikiak is so yeah. This is, I recognize this card. I went to the Arkham Knights where this was designed. No, wait. Did I? 2018. I've been to 2 Arkham Knights. Yeah, there's no Arkham Knights 2020. What year is it? Okay. Yes, I was there. I was not on the council, but I got a copy of the beta version of this card.
Or is it IKEA Q? Like when you have a question on how to assemble some IKEA furniture.
That's the name of the hotline for help building your bookshelf.
Yeah. She is the Council's Chosen. 3 cost, 3 XP, ally and sorcerer. You get +1 will and +1 book. You get -1 will and -1 book for each weakness beneath Ikiak.
It's a sentence that makes sense.
Reaction: when an investigator location draws a basic weakness, exhaust Ikiak, cancel that weakness's effects, place it face down beneath Ikiak. Its owner must draw it if Ikiak leaves play. Designed by Arkham Knights Council 2018, 2 health and 2 sanity.
Interesting. Yeah, so I never actually played with like the beta version of Ikiak. I think that this has been brought down a peg or two. I'm going from memory, but I want to say the original design by that council at Arkham Knights worked on all weaknesses, not just basic. And then I'm not sure that it had that text about drawing them if Ikiak leaves play.
Those seem like sensible balances.
Yeah.
A lot of characters, I feel like, are sort of balanced around their signature weakness. So it might potentially throw things off if you can cancel that. Yeah, for sure. The weaknesses are just so core to the way certain investigators work and their playstyle that being able to cancel it would be pretty broken. And again, I'm going from memory. I could just be wrong about, maybe that was always there. And then I think, the other difference was drawing it if it leaves play. I don't think was there. But anyway, I guess that stuff doesn't really matter. What do you think of the card as is? I think it's really good. I mean, one thing is you can always play it in Diana, and then you're also getting the... you have to... Never mind. To get Diana's effect, you would have to put Ikiak under Diana, right?
Yes. For Diana, you're right. So yeah, it works in Diana. It can get tucked under Diana, but then Ikiak has left play and the weakness is unleashed.
So yeah, I guess there's not Diana synergy.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah. So who would it be good in?
I mean, I look at this and I think you mostly want to play it when you want these stats. Like, it's the willpower and intellect are the main reason you play this. Allies that those two skills are quite good. And then it has this just in case you need it option to cancel a basic weakness that you will likely not use. Because you don't. How many basic weaknesses are drawn per game? Like an average of 1 per player. And then a lot of the time they won't be that bad. Like, are you really going to cancel chronophobia with this? Probably not. So I think it's like a just in case of emergency kind of option there.
Yeah, though I don't know that I'm paying 3 XP just for an ally that like takes up my ally spot and just provides like a boost. Like, there's so many good allies.
But once this is holding a basic weakness, that's all it's doing because it loses its stat boost.
Yeah. And I mean, I was sort of thinking, is there a mystic that doesn't care about their stats at the end of the game that is fine with holding 3 basic weaknesses?
Right.
I mean, it could, I guess in Diana, it could balance itself out where it's like early on, Diana has a very low will and you want the boost.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end, maybe Diana has a natural 6 will. And so you actually don't mind if this card is giving you -1 or -2.
Sure.
Potentially.
Possibly. Yeah. I think the only time I'd put this in a deck is when I'm doomed. Or what's the more recent progressive basic weakness that lead up to, if you draw them X times over the course of the campaign, they outright kill you.
Mm-hmm.
This is a great way to control that. Kind of restore your deck to a more normal play style than Doomed allows you to play. Other than that, yeah, I don't really think I would run this very often.
It definitely, I mean, it's nice to have the option where it's like maybe early in a scenario, if someone draws a weakness, you don't cancel it because you're like, I don't want to spend 2/3 of my scenario with minus will, but like to have the option in the last third.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm talking about, is like it's an in case of emergency. Like probably most games you won't even trigger it, but it's nice to know. Sometimes you get to that point where you're like, oh, I have 4 cards left in my deck and I know one of them is my basic weakness and it would screw me. What do I do? This card solves that problem.
Yeah.
Okay. Next is Flute of the Outer Gods, which I'm already interested in because it costs X resources. It's a level 4 mystic asset. It's an item and instrument, relic and cursed. Wow, and it's exceptional. This is 8 XP.
Ooh.
I don't think we've seen an exceptional mystic card yet.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Is this the most expensive untabooed card? Like, I guess
like the gold.
Watch.
Yeah, Rogue has some level 4 exceptional. Is double also 4 exceptional, or maybe that's 3 exceptional?
Yeah,
I can't remember. Anyway, so okay, you're sealing up to X curses, so that means you're spending X resources. So that's the X. You pay more to seal more curses. Mm-hmm. Then you exhaust Flute of the Outer Gods and release 1 curse token sealed on it. To choose a non-elite enemy at your location, either move the chosen enemy to a connecting location or deal its damage to any enemy at its location. This action does not provoke attacks of opportunity. Whew. It's a pretty epic like control card. What do you think?
So let's see. So how does this work? So to do the second effect, you need to have 2 enemies at the same location. So you do the first effect to set that up, but you can only move characters at your current location.
Yes.
So it's a little confusing because let's say there's 1 enemy at your location, 1 enemy at a neighboring location. This turn you would move the one at your location to there, but then they would both hunt you. So you would have to like move out of your current location. Then they both hunt you.
Right.
The next turn you move back in and you make one of them hurt the other. That's super complicated. Like,
yeah. I actually think that the getting one enemy to hurt another is a real niche thing that you might do sometimes, but is like not the main reason you run this. I think being able to push enemies away from you or push them to your guardian or something, letting them triple attack that turn instead of having to move, is the main reason you'd play this. Whether it's good enough to spend 8 XP on? Hard to say. You also, it's not just something you can play in a vacuum. You have to build around it in a way that gets some curses into the bag.
And I also assume that you're building around it with a lot of Dynamite Blast, Storm of Spirits.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
So I do think that I could see like a fun deck that, you know, everyone's building around, sort of like evading enemies for a while, maneuvering around them, and then having a couple of key cards that like blow up 10 enemies at once.
Sure.
Seems like a fun deck.
That does sound fun. Yeah. Huh. Wow, this card seems fine and it seems fun. It's blowing my mind a little bit that it's 8 XP. Like, so whether it was MJ or the playtesters or whoever balanced this card thinks very highly of it, and I don't think I'm quite there, which makes me wonder whether it's overcosted or whether I am missing the true power of it.
Yeah. I mean, when the second one, when that just kind of happens to work, it's pretty cool. Like, you could, well, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
It is.
What are Ursula's deck building rules with relics? Can she play this?
Maybe.
'Cause that's interesting. She's a seeker, so she would likely get benefit from a lot of other cards that generate curses. I don't know. I don't have a developed idea there, but I was just thinking out loud. Huh.
Yeah.
Cool card. I hope it's
use a hand slot, which is
that's tougher for seekers,
but not nothing. Yeah, and definitely more important in seeker.
Yeah, for mystics, like that's probably fine. But for almost everyone else, the hand slots are pretty important. Huh. Okay. I like it. I just gonna need someone to convince me why I should spend 8 experience on it.
Yeah, I wonder if it'll be one where they release a like way cheaper version that's only mildly less. Like it'll be like it's a 2 XP version and it seals up to 5 curses, which is basically almost as good.
Yeah, a card that was a little bit undertuned and they take another swing at it in the return box or something someday. Yeah. I could see it.
So Survivors, weird. Is this like metrosexual Silas?
Yeah, so I recognize this art actually. It's one of Silas's signature cards in the Arkham Horror 3rd edition board game, I think. And it is literally it is meant to be like a sexy posing Silas, because what he literally does with that card in the board game is rips his shirt open, dealing damage to the item, and it inspires the team of investigators.
Wow.
It boosts their skills for the round. Yeah,
this just seems like his Tinder profile photo or something.
It is gorgeous. Yeah.
But it's not just gorgeous, it's the fact that like nothing else about him makes him seem like someone that would like put on like a really like pristine like flannel shirt that like like a female friend picked out for him at the Gap or something.
Yeah. Like You're right. It is maybe a little out of character for him.
All right, but it is a 1-cost 3 XP event, Spirit and Blessed, and as an additional cost to play a Watchful Piece, search the Chaos Bag and/or cards in play for a total of 5 Blessed tokens and return them to the token pool.
Whoa.
Okay, so you're just spending those.
Yeah.
But as we were saying, we were kind of looking for like ways to use those more consistently.
Mm-hmm.
Fast play when the draw and counter step of the Mythos phase would begin. Skip this step. What? That's really good.
Wow. That is good. I mean, my first reaction was in 4 players, this is like it's canceling 4 encounter cards. But honestly, at all player counts, skipping a whole Mythos phase, or the salient part of a Mythos phase, seems incredibly good.
Wow.
Damn.
Yeah, and Mateo can definitely take it. He can. We can't remember if he can take 4 level blasts, but he can certainly take 3 level blasts.
Yes.
Calvin can double take it.
Yeah, because spirit traded.
Yeah.
Wow. And then we were saying we were looking for some ways to consistently benefit from the blesses or curses in the bag that aren't just hope you draw them to trigger an effect, and this is a great example. This just lets you outright spend them. I think it's the first effect we've seen like this, but I recall reading a preview article. I think there's at least one more coming. Damn, seems really good. 3 XP is a little steep, but I think well worth it, and then 1 resource for this effect is nothing during the game.
Yeah, I mean, it's what, 2 XP for the test of will that like doesn't always exile, and even that sometimes exiles. So like, this seems like way better. I mean, that one at least you get to save for, I guess, the worst treacheries. But in general, I'd rather skip everyone's treacheries than to like
I think so
selectively.
And then this is, I think, skipping a Mythos phase is probably more often better in the late game when the doom is getting up there, you're trying to get the objective done. And this works, that synergizes well with the way the card works anyway, because you can't play the first turn of the game. There probably isn't 5 blesses in the bag.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very much a late game card. And hey, if you just don't need it, if you're just dominating, 2 willpower icons is fine. Like you'll find a time to use that. Damn, great card.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I really think survivors are like winning this Innsmouth cycle. It's been pack after pack now that we've been really raving about the survivor cards.
Yeah, it definitely, it seems like Guardian, like, I don't know, they've had like interesting bless cards, but they often aren't quite as powerful as you think they're gonna be.
Mm-hmm.
And I think like all the survivor bless cards have been basically, other than maybe Keep Faith is like not amazing but fine, but like some of the other ones have been pretty amazing, like their Covenants. So yeah,
Keep Faith has been getting better and better the more survivor cards that reward you for those blessings, though.
Mm-hmm.
So while Steven was offering that last bit of analysis, if viewers noticed my mood suddenly plummet, it's because the next card is Dig Deep. Another one of these symmetrical level 4 talents. This one has 2 recurring resources, and you can spend them on willpower or agility, which is like fine. Those are defensive. This is a good survival card. But yeah,
Patrice, maybe, I guess.
3 cards in this pack being these upgraded talents. Man, that's a disappointment.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. The last couple packs, we actually commented that there had been no neutral cards in a while. I'm looking at what's left here, and I think we're making up for it.
Cool. Yeah, these look neat. Starting with Favor of the Moon. 1 cost, 1 XP assets, Pact and Curse. I was just saying I couldn't remember if there were any non-weakness packs, but we've got another one already.
Yeah.
Fast, seal up to 3 curses. If there are no tokens sealed on Favor of the Moon, discard it. Reaction, when you would reveal a chaos token from the chaos bag, exhaust Favor of the Moon, resolve a token sealed here instead as if it were just revealed from the chaos bag, then gain 1 resource. So this is a way to make your decks more consistent.
Holy shit. This seems great. So, at worst case scenario, this is a 1 resource fast card that removes 3 curses from the bag, which is an upside in itself. And then it gives you an option to, when you draw an auto fail, treat it as a curse instead.
No, that's not what it does. When you would reveal a chaos token. So
oh, shoot. You're right. I thought it was when you reveal. It's when you would reveal. Okay.
I mean, here's an example. Every single time you get down to your last Armageddon charge, you can always do this. So, like, at minimum, it's 3 extra Armageddon charges.
Yeah.
Like, for 1 cost, 1 XP fast.
And you gain a resource.
Yeah, so it actually costs -2.
Yeah. Like, oh, man. This seems good. The only downside I can really see here at all, because it doesn't take up a slot, it's cheap, both in XP and resources. It does exhaust, which means you can only use it once per turn, or per round, rather. So, like, it doesn't let you go machine gun with your Armageddon if it's low on charges.
Yeah, so there
Seems good though.
are some decks may, instead of using it for the initial pull, some decks may wait till you get one curse and then use it. If you're going for like the one that takes two curses and treats them as a skull or something like that. Like if you're playing if you're playing Song of the Dead and you're playing that, you can wait till you get the first curse and then use this to ensure the second curse, which becomes a skull, which makes your Song of the Dead do extra damage. That's a little bit more complicated. I think the easier thing is to just play Armageddon instead of that 2-card combo. But it'd be fun.
Is it just mystics? Do seekers or rogues get rewarded for drawing curses? I mean, I guess their covenants can help them kind of like you can use the rogue covenant to treat this. Well, what am I saying? For rogues of the covenant, this is kind of an econ card, right? You can treat it as drawing a curse and then cancel the curse and gain that resource. That's
yeah. Can you do this in the? I don't know, for Gaze of Urash. Can you use it for that? And can you use it for any of the 7?
Oh, when you would reveal a chaos token from the chaos bag, yeah.
So
I think so.
Do you do it one at a time? Like, let's say I need to do 4 damage.
Yeah.
Could I see like, oh, I've pulled 6 tokens and I've done 3 damage so far. So I'm going to use this for the 7th one because I'm trying to kill this 4 health enemy.
That's a great question. I have always, at least when playing physically, Tabletop Simulator, you kind of have no choice but to draw one at a time. Playing physically, I generally, when drawing multiple tokens, reach my hand in the bag and just pull out that many. I don't know what the actual ruling is on that. That's a great question.
Because otherwise, I mean, you probably would just use this. You would always use this with Gaze of Urash. But if you had the additional flexibility of like, oh, I don't have to use it until the 7th token when I see like if I've done enough damage yet, that's even better.
Interesting. Okay. One other thing I didn't note is Favor of the Moon is unique. So if you're building a multiplayer curse team, you can't all have one in play.
Interesting.
Small downside.
It's actually a little more substantial because so far we've often found that like it benefits to have 2 or 3 blessed characters or 2 or 3 cursed characters, and like this is one of the first times when it's like, oh, it doesn't necessarily make sense for you all to go the same strategy.
Yeah, there's kind of a snag in that. I think probably the main reason is so that you can't just like play a bunch of Seeker cards that reward you for putting curses in the bag and then seal 9 of them on 3 Favors of the Moon and like be done with them. That would be my guess for like kind of why it's unique. But it adds a team deck building wrinkle for sure. And the next, I guess, kind of maybe not surprising, is Favor of the Sun. It costs twice as much, 2 resources, and is level 1. It's a neutral asset that's a pact and blessed. It's fast. You seal up to 3 blesses. If there are no tokens sealed on it, discard it. And as a reaction, when you would reveal a chaos token from the chaos bag, exhaust Favor of the Sun. Resolve a token sealed here instead, as if it were just revealed from the chaos bag. So kind of inherently ignoring card synergies, this is the one you would play, because being able to essentially get +2 to a test is at least inherently useful, whereas getting -2 to a test is not.
Well, I guess. I mean, though, if you're going to go with sort of ignoring synergies, then sealing 3 curses is better than sealing 3 blessings.
Fair point. Yeah.
Regardless, you're not playing either of these without synergies.
You're right.
This one, I mean, I think it's good with a couple of combos. I think the combos here are a little bit more complicated than the combos of Favor of the Moon.
Yes and no. I mean, like, what is it? The Winchester is the Guardian gun that does extra damage if you draw blesses. Yeah. And Blessed Blade, I think, also does extra damage if you draw blesses. So
yep. Okay. Yep. Those are 2. That's a good point.
Yeah, I wouldn't call those too complicated. Then you can look at like Blessing of Isis, which rewards you for drawing 2 consecutive blesses, and this would be, you'd probably use it after you draw 1 bless to then throw another one on it. Although your odds of drawing that first one are decreased by the 3 being sealed on here, but still probably greatly increases your chances of actually triggering that card.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, this is exactly what we were saying we wanted to see, right? Consistency in when you draw these tokens. Like our wishes have been granted with these favors.
Yeah, I think I don't know that they needed to like make it that much worse than Favor of the Moon, but in terms of like not costing one more and
not getting resources. Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. Blessings of Isis, like because it goes in Elder Sign, like in certain characters, is really strong. Like Mateo has a really good Elder Sign, for example.
Yeah. I mean, I think that Blessing of Isis is a much stronger than the Mythos or the Mystic card that turns 2 curses into a skull was so like underwhelming to me that I can't even remember what it's called.
Yeah. I mean, and I was saying like you can combo with that and then Song of the Dead, but also like why wouldn't you just play Armageddon? Like,
right. Cool. Well, yeah, I think that wish, which was always a little bit of like a part of why I'm enjoying this mechanic, I've said multiple times, is the chaotic nature of it. So partly this option to smooth out the consistency is I could see it reducing the fun factor slightly, but it does greatly increase the power level of playing those combos.
And I think this is maybe one of the few times when like not getting the full theme all at once is maybe a good thing. Like having to kind of tough it out with like the unpredictability of like, I could do this really cool thing, but I don't always get to do the really cool thing. And then switching to like, like now I get to do the really cool thing consistently. That is sort of a neat progression. That's
an excellent point. I've harped so much on how I hate the LCG model where these cards that were all designed at once get trickled out over time. But this is, playing 4 months without these and then getting them is actually, kind of an upside here. Kind of a nice tempo to unveiling the mechanic and putting it in our hands. Huh. I might have to reevaluate some opinions. I don't like this. I better let's do the next card.
The next card is 4 cost, 4 XP, Purifying Corruption. It's a ritual, blessed and cursed. And as a reaction, when you draw a non-weakness treachery, take a damage and a horror. Cancel that card's revelation effect and place one resource on this card as corruption. If this card has 3 or more corruption, remove it from the game. And then as an action, draw the top card of the encounter deck, either heal 1 damage and horror, or remove 1 corruption from this card.
This is another Arkham Knights design. I am really, like, I recognize the art. I remember this card existed. I'm really blanking on what it used to do. I could not tell you what differences are here, but what do you think of it?
I think it was very similar, if not the same. So let's see, think about this. So I feel like the first effect is the primary thing. So 3 times per game, even without doing the bottom thing, you could cancel a treachery by taking a damage and a horror. So like Carolyn, for example, who's pretty good at healing, might be quite happy with that. Diana gets to draw, or wait, no, but she only gets to do it for the 3rd time, I guess.
She would only get to benefit from the cancel on the 3rd time. Well, I mean, she can do it sooner. It just kind of wastes some of the value of the card.
So Carolyn, maybe Diana. Also, there's a lot of Guardians that have a lot of soak. Tommy would be a real good one for this. Like, it's like, okay, like as a cost, I have to like put damage and horror on my assets and turn them into money.
That's
or
true.
Ammunition.
Yeah.
Like, that's not much of a cost.
Yeah. I think with some of those exceptions, this is a pretty big ask, right? 4 resources, 4 XP, and take 3 damage and 3 horror to cancel several treacheries. I guess not every class is good at canceling treacheries. Like Rogue, for example, has a pretty hard time with treacheries. So I think since this is a neutral card, I don't want everyone to all of a sudden have this amazing tool for canceling treacheries. I guess I'm glad that it doesn't seem that strong to me. But I also don't know if it's strong enough that I will ever play it.
I think it's pretty good in Tommy and maybe Mark as well. because he tends to put out a lot of soak, and it helps him draw into other things.
The flip side is really interesting. You can draw the top card of the encounter deck to heal at fast speed. And that's... So, wow. Okay, so actually, that is healing as a fast ability is not that common. You could... If a treachery that you're currently resolving a skill test for is about to knock you out, you can use this, draw another card during that skill test that you're in the middle of to heal. That is some weird flexibility.
True.
I don't know. Again, that's probably not a reason to play this card, but it's
and you would also almost certainly want to cancel the treachery unless you were about to die.
Right.
If you were 2 away from dying and it was a rotting remains, you would probably just cancel it rather than drawing another card and healing a horror or something.
That's a good point. I guess the bottom part, like, you're only going to do that if there's already potentially if there's already 2 corruption counters on this card and you want to keep it around, because using it a third time would... Well, there are a couple reasons. It could be that taking the damage and the horror to cancel that rotting remains would kill you.
Yeah.
Right? Or that. There's a lot going on here. Potentially really interesting decision trees. Which is cool. I'm just not convinced that the card is like worth putting in a deck.
Yeah, I don't think I would do the healing one much unless I was maybe like Mark or Agnes, where like taking damage and then healing it is like has a benefit to me.
And it's canceling a treachery with the top ability deals a damage and a horror and puts a corruption on this card. But the bottom part where you draw an additional card only heals one or the other of those.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to look at this as like something you can use forever, you have to draw twice as many cards as you're canceling. Also not that appealing. Okay, fun design, fun in-game decisions. Like someday I'm gonna play like a chaos campaign and end up with this in my deck or something like that. I don't see myself spending 4 XP on it.
Yeah, I guess one important thing is any kind of like grief deck should put this in.
Oh yeah,
you can draw unlimited numbers of encounter cards, so you can just spam the map with tons of enemies.
Make sure that like the Innsmouth scenario floods faster, or you're spawning more enemies or whatever.
This doesn't even exhaust, so you can like.
No, it doesn't. I noticed that.
You could draw the entire deck.
That is funny. Yeah, you're
It doesn't even require you to have any damage or horror.
This basically says this says win every debate with your team about what to do, because you could just say, if we don't go with my plan, I'm just gonna draw the encounter deck. Yep. That's some leverage, man. All right. What do we think of the pack, Steven?
So I think, a lot of the curse cards and bless cards were really, really cool. I think, aside from the 3 boring cards, everything else is something that is worth trying, for sure.
Yeah, I think it's ultimately disappointing that 6 out of 60 cards in this Mythos pack are boring talents in what is otherwise a very not boring cycle. Other than that, it's cool. Like I have mixed feelings on the Arkham Knights designs, because when they finally come to packs, even though I don't usually like play a lot with kind of the pre-play test versions of those cards, I still kind of see them and I'm like, I've seen this. So all in all, I would call this like one of the least kind of like splashy and exciting packs. But I think just about every class in the Stygian Eye, Nephthus, Geese, that the Rogue Pact, like every class got one card that I'm very excited about. So I can't complain too much.
Yeah. And that at least the Arkham Knights ones are doing something a little unusual. Like they're not obviously super powerful, but at least they're like trying something a little different.
It's funny that they both they're both both multiple use cancel effects. One is weaknesses and one is non-weakness treacheries, so they don't technically overlap, but it is funny that both of these 2 different card councils created cancel cards, which I've said before, I don't actually like. Part of the reason I don't like Diana is because I don't think that canceling all the bad stuff is the most fun way to play Arkham Horror, the card game. Like the bad stuff is where the challenge comes from. But I must be in the minority on that because you put 12 players in a room together and they design a cancel card.
I think that there are lots of people in the Republican Party that agree with me that cancel culture has just gone way too far. Like, so you are not alone.
Wow. Please do not paint me with that brush. All right. I've had enough of this. I'm going to let you get back to your basketball, Steve. Any final thoughts before we go?
No. I am very curious if someone builds a flute deck. So,
yes.
Let us know.
I agree. I think I'm most interested in like the comments, kind of like, tell me why I'm wrong, why this card is worth it. And then I'll play it. Maybe it'll be great. Okay, well, we'll see you next back. Hopefully we get it. And I feel like there's kind of a lot of unknown with Arkham right now. There's some rumors about what's coming, but we don't have the next cycle announced yet. There are like very few announced products.
Well, there is Return to Circle Undone, which was only announced, I think,
pretty recently.
Ago.
Yeah.
So like, it's still like within like sort of normal timeline. I forget exactly when they normally.
I feel like by this point in a cycle, we usually know the next cycle. Mm-hmm. Like there's always kind of this weird moment in like, I feel like it's usually after about pack 3 when the next cycle is announced and everyone stops caring about the current cycle and is excited about the next one. And we haven't gotten that yet. Maybe for that reason, that weirdness, maybe it's intentional, maybe it's COVID delays.
Yeah, I mean, it might make sense for them to take a month or two off to like focus on reprints, because you hear all the time about people that are really struggling to find some of the earlier packs.
Yeah, I've had friends express interest in getting into the game, and I've had a hard time recommending it lately because I am recommending that people start this very frustrating journey of obtaining all these packs. I hope that we can get Arkham back on shelves reliably soon. Okay, well, I attempted to start our sign off 3 minutes ago and then got sidetracked. So this time for real. Till we see you next time, be optimal.